Something wrong with your pet, you need help, you don't always gotta take it to the vet. Get motivated by the jingle on the radio and call up the Dog Whisperette. It don't matter the behavior or the breed, same day's transformation's guaranteed. Miss Alisa, best trainer in the league, number one in training pets to be the best that they can be. If something wrong with your pet, you need help, you ain't always gotta take it to the vet. Motivated her to jingle on the radio and call up the Dog Whisperette. It don't matter the behavior or the breed, same day's transformation's guaranteed. Miss Alisa, best trainer in the league, number one in training pets to be the best that they can be. If something wrong with your pet, you need help, you don't always gotta take it to the vet. Motivated her to jingle on the radio and call up the Dog Whisperette. It don't matter the behavior or the breed, same day's transformation guaranteed. Miss Alisa, best trainer in the league, number one in training pets to be the best that they can be. Something wrong with your pet, you need help, you don't always gotta take it to the vet. Get motivated by the jingle on the radio and call up the Dog Whisperette. It don't matter the behavior or the breed.
Hello, Chattanooga, Tennessee, where there's no other place I would rather be. This is your favorite hostess, the Dog Whisperette, with another episode of WPTP 100.1 FM radio on Facebook, YouTube, 365 Live, and on your FM dial. If you live in the downtown Chattanooga area, you can tune me in every Saturday at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. YouTube as well, and 365, where I will be live. And today, our topic is going to be how to redirect a puppy's mind before the energy becomes habits. And so, as a dog behaviorist, I realized that the most important steps in establishing yourself as a leader is becoming a calm, confident leader. And we can never establish that if we don't have a calm, confident dog. And so today I'm going to be giving you tips on how to redirect some puppy behaviors, how to keep the energy low, and my ideas and my observations of what I've seen on, is it okay to let your puppies play till they get to a red zone? So today, I want to be your one-stop shop. So what we do when we first get a puppy, we start researching. We research YouTube, and what we do, we try a few of the tools that we read, and they don't work. So we go to another one, and then we go to another one. We never until we get so frustrated that because they don't work, because we don't stay consistent. So what I want is to offer you a consistent every Saturday training tool. So I want to read, and if you've been following me, you know that we went over what to do if your puppy is biting. And so I had a lot of people ask me on YouTube to go back over that because, what we like to do is we like to push the puppy away, and then the puppy comes back. And we push it away, and it comes back. And then what happens, that becomes a game, and that becomes a release of energy. So when that puppy's coming at you, the puppy's doing a couple of things. It's teething, and it's also releasing energy. And so if we connect to that, we are saying that's okay for you to come and you bite on us. So what you do, and before we do any training, we're going to calm the mind. And this is your first step in calming that puppy's mind. You pick the puppy up and you cradle it on its back, and you give it as much force, a little bit more force than what it's given you. And you'll start feeling it relax, and when it relaxes, you relax. This might take 2 or 3 times of squeezing it and then relaxing. Once the mind is calm, you put the puppy down and you walk, because you don't feed into that energy. And if somebody message me and say, theirs was a bigger puppy, how you can't cradle that puppy. So what do? You put the leash on and you bring the head to the ground. You don't even have to worry about the body, because where the mind goes, the body follows. So bring the head down with the leash, hold the head down. Now, the puppy's going to get tired of being submitted like that. So it might take you 4 or 5 times, but that's going to redirect in a healthy way the puppy biting. And so that's going to set a habit. Like I said, that becomes a habit. That becomes a habit of releasing energy and a habit of teething. And so let's talk about teething. So what can you do? With Zeus, which is my 8-month-old puppy, and you've been following me, I got him when he was 5 months old. And Zeus was so conditioned to to sticks and leaves because there was 12 of them. And so they were never really one-on-one. So they were just left to teach themselves, to set their own rules and their own boundaries, and it didn't turn out real well. So he's a grazer. And so when you have a grazer like that, and he wanted to eat rocks and sticks, and I put out glass, so I realized the muzzle, you have to, or you're going to be at the vets all the time because they're going to eat into something that they shouldn't get into. So, I'm a big believer in muzzling your puppy if it's a grazer because you're not there. And so, there's your tip on what to do if your puppy's biting. And that's a big thing. Like I said, they're teething and they're getting out energy, and then it becomes a game, depending on how you correct that. Follow me on YouTube. You'll actually see, go on there and actually do some redirection. And if you follow me, we did it here on the show. But that's the biggest issue that I get from my clients is, that they've got bites all over them from the puppies, gnawing on their arms, or if they get up to walk away. And that's another thing. When you get up to walk away, a target of release. And so what you do, so your puppy's coming behind you and he's biting your ankles. And that really happens with the herders, the Australian Shepherds, because they're hurting you as well. And so we like to kick at them or we like to take off running. So what you do in that instance, what you do is you turn toward them. You back them away. Never turn your back on them. And what I do, I had a pool noodle that I would pop as I would back them away. You could take newspaper, how your grandparents would use a newspaper. This is the same concept. But it's that different frequency that you're putting into that correction, into that redirection. So you're gonna pop whatever you've got. You can pop with a spoon and a pan works really well as well because it's a different frequency, and that stops them in their tracks right there. And once they stop and that you see that mind is calm, that's when you tell them. That's when you put the words in there. Because if you put the words in there before their mind is calm, you're barking with them. They are not listening to a word you're saying. And so you're getting more frustrated and more frustrated. They're barking more and barking more, and it just becomes a vicious cycle. So remember, less is better. Words excite. The more words you say, the less respect that dog has for you. I have been working on frequency training with tuning forks and a harmonica. And so I did my first training with the harmonica. And it was, he was biting everybody who would come by his kennel. And I was his last chance. And I had I had done it on Zeus and it worked wonderful because, like I said, we use our voice, our energy changes because we get so frustrated and we're just barking. They're not listening to anything we say. But I learned that if I hit the tuning fork, he stops. And when he stops, that's when I initiate it. So we'll go back to, so the dog, you can go on my page, Dog Whisperette, on Facebook and actually watch these videos. But I go in and he's viciously coming at me. And he was in his kennel. And, a lot of times they are more reactive inside the kennel because we are creating that energy. Like I said, that energy's got to be released. So I sit there and I just start playing the harmonica. Trust me, I can't play the harmonica. But I know there's only two chords. I just start hitting the chords. And it was beautiful. Everything just started flowing. And so that's when, and then he started the barking again, the growling. So what I did is I took the tuning fork and I popped the cage. And what I did, that startled him because he had never been corrected in that way. He'd been corrected by getting screamed at. He was even biting his owner. If they tried to come in and get him out of that kennel, they got bit. The last straw was when he bit the owner's sister. And she was walking, and then I realized, there wasn't a flow there. he's already been judged because of his actions. So the energy was set. There was fear. And so what I did is once I got, you know, and it so happens that the owner had a harmonica there. And so once we got the energy flowing again, what I did is I had the owner take away the kennel. Because when a dog becomes that obsessed over something, take it away. Well, he don't need that kennel. That kennel was causing him to stay in a reactive mode. That dog was he was becoming aggressive. He had become aggressive, and this was his last chance. So why would you keep something that your dog, just like with toys and bones, if they fight over it or if they become really reactive over it and guarding it, take it away. They don't need that. We don't realize that, it's that simple as to take that away. But he wasn't a leader either. So once I went in there and I taught him how to walk as a leader, and that's a really good release of energy. And you don't start walking your puppies till they're around 3 months, because you're just going to get frustrated. And they just, they're not, their minds no, don't last a whole a long time. Just, that their attention span is like a few seconds. But around 3 months, 3 to 4 months is when I really recommend that you start with a training, with your basic training, behaviorist if needed. You would be amazed at some of the 4-month-old puppies that I went into that's already resource guarding food and biting their owners and fighting and they had just learned that was the way that they would release their energy. And like with Zeus, he could have very well he come from a litter of 12. So we got to realize their background as well. With a litter of 12, he had to fight to survive. He had to become a bully. And what I noticed he was when I got him, he was a bully. He was a bully to my other two dogs. So what happens when that? And you bring in a puppy, and that puppy starts becoming resource guarding you, jealous, of the others. He just right up on you. Stand up, you back them away. Don't push them away, but you only go to a certain space. You set your boundaries. Don't follow them. Don't follow them. And that's what happens when they jump on us. We want to push them down, push them away, and then we walk away. What I say is when they jump on you, go forward. Claim your space. They're not going to like that. You go forward, make them go backwards. And when they go backwards, they're going to go down. And when they do that, you stand there. You stand there and you keep doing it. You keep doing it till you reinforce and consistency. Every time they jump, you go forward. And they're going to get tired of that as well. That's not going to become a habit. That's going to stop the habit. Shepherds are really notorious for jumping. And so, with Zeus, he doesn't jump on me, but he jumps on company or strangers. And, a lot of them allow it. And what I say is, no, don't invite that energy because I'm trying to stop that energy. It takes a village. And so when they, they're like, come on, jump up here. That is allowing. Everything you said is just went downhill because they're not respecting what you're asking them to do with your dog, with your energy, with their energy. And so if somebody can't respect that, then you take your dog and you walk away. Because the worst thing is a dog jumping because they can hurt you, especially the elderly. And so if the elderly are listening, I'm so glad. I want you to keep tuning in on Saturdays, and I'm going to keep giving you tips to help you have a more enriched and safer life with your companion. And so now let's go back over it with their body. What do? We put them on their back and submit them. We hold them until their mind is till they calm. You'll feel the energy calm. You'll feel them. They'll release it. Once they release that energy, you release that energy. You put them down and you walk away. And you repeat. Rinse and repeat. Rinse and repeat. And it don't take many times for them to get what you're saying because you're being consistent with it. You have a bigger dog, submit that mind. You take the leash and you take their head to the ground and you hold it. That's the same as submission because you're submitting the mind. Don't worry about the body. The body goes for the mind. The body follows the mind. So bring their head to the ground, hold it down there. You'll feel them release that energy. You're holding tight. Once they start relaxing, you relax on that energy. You've got to match that energy and go higher. Or you're just futile. You're just wasting your energy. Have you done me? Why waste my energy? Why waste me? Always put that in there with your training. That's a really good concept to keep. What are we going to waste our energy on? What is it worth? What's worth? Am I going to keep yelling and yelling and yelling and yelling and yelling? No, I'm going to stand up and I'm going to put the action with the word. And when you say sit, don't keep saying it because it becomes monotonous. You say sit, they don't sit, you put their butt down. You say sit, they don't sit, you put their butt down. You keep doing that because if it takes you so many times to say sit, then that's not really a command. You're not asking. I mean, you're asking, you're not telling. More than one time you're asking. There's a difference between asking and telling. And asking and you're giving them that choice. Will you please sit down? Will you please sit down? No, I told you to sit down. And then they're going to respect you. They don't respect you if you just own and own and own and own. They don't. And how do you become that leader? How's the first step in becoming that leader? And that's the walk. The walk is so important. I say there's a healthy walk and there's an unhealthy walk. An unhealthy walk is when they're dragging you down the driveway or they're reactive to dogs walking by or people walking by. That's you're not a leader there. You're just part of that. So and walking starts with energy. We want to grab up that leash and say, "Oh, let's go for a walk." So we amp that energy up before we even start that walk. A leader doesn't say, "Put yourself as a pack leader, as a dog." Let's do as a dog. That dog doesn't say, "Oh, let's go, let's go." The leader goes, and the pack follows. So pick that leash up. You own that leash. You own it. Stop at that door because you're going into a new environment, which is going to excite the mind. It's going to excite the senses, the nose, the ears. Stop at the door. They don't go out in front of you. You go out first. You take in that energy. You calm that energy. And that's by relaxing your arm, relaxing your body, relaxing your mind. Take a deep breath and let it go. You go out. They pull. Stop. Stop. Even right here on the porch, because because that's what they've been conditioned to do. That door is opened, it's go. No, relax. I said it's everything you've ever done is wrong. Everything we ever been taught to do, hold on tight and let's go. Absolutely not. Hold on with two fingers. Take a deep breath. Relax. Pull them to you. Relax. Pull them to you. Relax. That's the secret to the relaxation. You'll see. I say once you start relaxing and they're still pulling, check yourself because they want to walk in that relaxed mind. They don't want to be reactive. They want the rules. They want the boundaries. They want to know what's expected of them. You have to tell them. You have to show them. We get so frustrated because we throw we say, we get a new puppy and then we're hollering, come, 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 come. They don't know what that means. Because we didn't put the action with the word. We just assume they know what come means. We just assume they know what that means. And a lot of times you get rescued so you have never even been fooled with. You just were existed. And once you start putting action with the word, you're going to see a whole different ball game here. And it's going to empower you just as much. So, like I said, let's recap on the jumping because that is to me one of the worst. Like I said, it's really dangerous. It's really annoying. It's annoying to your family and your friends, anybody who comes through your doors when you go out into the public. What do? Go forward. You walk forward. You push them forward. I even take my knees and I push it, with my knees because I don't bend down. Do not bend down at that point. Bending down is weakness. Head up, shoulders back. That's when they respect you. I want you to do it right now. Head up, shoulders back. You feel that switch. They feel that switch. That's leadership. They will look to you for guidance. They will look to you to learn how to redirect that energy, how to release that energy in a healthy way. Like I said, if you don't teach them, they will teach themselves. They will set their own rules and their own boundaries. But we set our own rules and boundaries too, and a lot of times we set the wrong rules and the wrong boundaries because we invite that. We invite the jumping. We invite the biting when they're puppies because it's so cute. But once they start growing, it's not so cute. It gets dangerous. Then let's talk about the walk. 90% of my clients, when they call, their dog is out of control. The first thing I ask them is, how much do you walk your dog? Most of the time, their response is, I don't walk him. We have a big yard. You have to walk them. You have to be that leader. You have to set those rules and those boundaries because if they're running on their own, they're picking up their own habits and their own insecurities because they're out there on their own. And they get scared just like children. You hear dogs barking all the time. And they're barking because they're reactive, because something has alerted them, something scared them. It's just, I don't hear it as much as I used to. Growing up, there were dogs barking everywhere, all over the neighborhood. And now it's just not as common because we're growing, we're learning that our dogs are family. They have feelings. They get cold, they get hot, just like we do. And we're opening our hearts up and our homes up more. Thank you guys for that. Um, but I did, there is one that in my neighborhood right now, and bless her heart, she barks all night long. And it's, there's nobody out there saying, it's okay, stopping that habit because it's become a habit as well. There's fear, there's insecurities, there's habits, all of that rolled into one. And if you've got a dog, don't leave your dog out. There's no sense. I mean, don't get me wrong. You got a Great Pyrenees, or you have one who wants to be out and who's got the coat to be out. But train them. Don't let them be. I call them the neighborhood bully, especially ones who's running around. And put your dogs up. Keep your dogs where they need to be because we don't. It takes a village, but it starts with you. It starts with you being that leader, taking on the responsibility. Because when you buy a dog, it's not a yard ornament. And I'm saying it. Take your dog in, especially in the winter when we're getting the winters that we're fixing to have. There is no reason. I'm sorry, that's my dog. For your dog not to be in your home with you. I see people say we go and sit outside with your dog or sit in a dog house in the summertime with your dog. You wouldn't last. so, uh, um, like I said, keep following me every Saturday. I am live on 365 and YouTube. If you live in the downtown Chattanooga area, you can tune in on your FM dial 100.1. And it's called Making It Make Sense with the Dog Whisperette. We start with it's not just the dogs, it's the humans as well. It starts with us. What I'm trying to do is give you the tips and give you the tools to enrich your life and to keep the stress down because, we got enough stress going on in the world right now. The last thing we need is stress from our dogs. And if you tune in here, that is my goal, is to give you those tools, to give you that calm mind and to enrich you and, not be all dark. You know, you if I could do anything, and I have years and years of knowledge of being a professional dog behaviorist, it's to before I die, I want to give you all of my tools. all of my tricks that I've learned, all of my love, all of my energy. When I go in, people swear that I have come in and drugged the dog before I got there because there's such a switch so quick in that mind because I come in and it's like we have rose-colored glasses where we don't see the habits that we've allowed. We don't see the energy that's built. It takes somebody coming in, and like I said, it takes me 2 hours. My track record is 2 hours for results that you have everything has changed, and then I give you the tools to continue that. And so before I leave, and I don't set a time. I just say, "You" what? Sorry. I'm sorry, guys. Set a time. I'm sorry, I got off track. You seen the butterfly fly? That was my memory. And I'm sorry, I don't know why Nefertiti didn't join us today, but let's send her love, and I hope everything is okay. Yes, that's my co-host. If you haven't watched her new video, guys, it's called Thing. Go on there. Yeah, and I said it is such an awesome, awesome video that I said, it's something like a movie star, a rock star. She just does it all. And it's Nefertiti. Go look her up. It's just a wonderful she's such a wonderful lady, and, I am so loving that she agreed to be my co-host, and she agreed to bring her presence on here, and, like I said, keep joining us every Saturday for more tips and more tools, and so I have a few minutes remaining, and I wanna talk about, should you let your dog go and play with another dog that is highly, highly reactively? I say, "No, I didn't realize this." We think as a society we need to go and take our dogs and let them play at the dog park or with another dog, and that's not necessarily true. And I learned that with Zeus because I learned that they can go to a red zone play. And when they go to that red zone play, what happens is you can get hurt. So what I did is my neighbor, she had a 6-month-old German Shepherd puppy, and Zeus is a Australian Shepherd. So you have 2 shepherds here, joining forces. And we were sitting, we're standing there, and they wouldn't even acknowledging that our presence. And so we about got knocked down more than once. And so, these are an elderly couple. And so I advised them, when they're playing, you need to stop that. You need to, bring the energy down because you're letting them stay there in that reactive mode, and you're not setting rules, and you're not setting boundaries for play. And they were fine with that. So what I did is I took Zeus out because I'm not going to allow his mind to be taught to play in that red zone. It's just like the red zone in fear and the red zone, in anger. It's the red zone in play. I'm the first dog behaviorist to ever say this because I never really noticed it, but you can't, think about it. You have homeless people. They don't ask the breed, they find the dog finds them. What do? They don't take the dog to play, they keep the dog in a low energy because, they stay in a low energy, they just walk around. And guess what? The dog gets conditioned to live in a calm mind. It's the same as if you want that dog at playing all the time, reactive all the time, the dog starts living in the reactive mind. That becomes a habit. So, calm minds, reactive minds, that's habits. It's not the breed. It's what we are allowing. It's what we're setting. I say if you have an older dog, get a younger dog. Don't do 2 younger dogs because that's when the energy's going because they feed off each other. And you're not gonna have calmness for a while if you get 2 young ones. But my older dog, which she's Dreams, and she's been on here, she's 13 years old, and she's training him to have a calm mind because I trained her to have a calm mind. But if I had not trained her to have a calm mind, he would be feeding off of her energy and vice versa. And so that's how I keep my cat calm, just like homeless. That's how they keep their dogs calm. I live in a constant state of a low mental energy. And when I do take him out and play, or I take him out and play, I keep it low. I don't want him on the go all constantly. I don't want his mind reactive constantly. If he plays, I want it to be a healthy outlet. That's not a healthy outlet. Don't let your dogs get into that play the red play zone because that's gonna how they're gonna learn to play with other dogs. That shepherd, she was okay with it. He really wasn't okay with it. And so I seen that, and as the owner, I took him out of that situation. Don't force dogs are just like humans. Not all dogs wanna meet other dogs. Not all dogs, want to play with other dogs. Don't force it. And watch the reactions. And I know it let's, talk about the dog parks. I'm not a big fan because what I've seen going to the dog parks is it's just a babysitter. You have the owners now who are glued to their phones and not paying attention. Remember, it's pack mentality. So I had to break up almost 2 fights, and the owners just sitting there on their phones. And so when one fight starts, that's an indication that there's gonna be more joining in. So guys, just remember, calm minds, calm lives. So this is the episode's up today, but join me next Saturday, and we're going to still talk about redirecting puppy minds, because this is very important. This is the start of energy and habits. So thank you for joining. Tune in every Saturday. Tune in on your dial if you're in the Chattanooga, Tennessee area. YouTube, Facebook, 100.1 FM, WPTP radio. Bye, guys.